Okay, so now that we've established that, let us see what endure means. And I already know this is, oh my gosh, okay, I just need a moment here because this word that we're going to connect to is the exact same word that I was going through with Trisha yesterday.
Wow.
The exact same word. And it was the verse that you chose. Okay. So beautiful. All right, I'm going to highlight it for you. It's right here. I think you're going to love this. You are going to absolutely love this. So this is the word that has to do with faith or endurance and patience. Endurance and patience. And so this will make much more sense to you when I produce the video, or actually I put out the video that I recorded this morning so that you can go back and you can listen to it to connect it with this verse. That's so incredible.
Okay.
I love how Spirit orchestrates this stuff because you can't make this up.
Not
at all. So when we are looking at this root, so I'm going to show you that we're going to go into the analysis again, and I'm going to show you what the Dukrana says, and then I'm going to go into Janet McGear's book because she gives a lot of information. Here is part of it. Preach, declare, bear, endure, nourished, and fed. But there's actually more. Janet does a really good job of taking in from all the resources available to her to bring in all of the meanings, not just limited perspectives. And that's why I really like to use her work. So SEVAR, if I can get back to my page here of where I was at this morning, I actually should have left it open. I had no idea that it was going to take me right back here. Fine. There we go. Finally. So the root of this is Semek Bet Resh, and in Semek Bet Resh, the other parts, so this is what Janet has on all of it. It's think, suppose, consider, preach, declare, announce, hope, expect, trust, bear, forbear, suffer, sustain, feed, and endure. So when we take a look at what we've got here, we have English that has crammed all of this into just one word, and they chose to put endure, the cross, and we may need to dig a little bit deeper on that too so we can understand the phrase endured the cross, because like I said, there's much being said in this verse. So this enduring aspect of it,
yeah.
So we're going to look here, when we look at this word in its root, static form, lump of clay, dealing with your heart. This has to do with things that we're thinking, supposing, and considering. It has to do with preaching, declaring, and announcing. That is producing hope and an expectancy and trust. But it is also connected to our suffering and that which we bear and sustain, as well as what we feed ourselves with, so that we can produce endurance. Now, that is in the static form, just with the root. But look what they added. They added the yod. What is your knowledge of the yod?
The yod is a spark point. It's God. It's everything is contained there.
It is also
point.
Yeah, it's also the place of vision. Just to let you know, the yod, if you spell it out in its constituent letter form, has the same gematria as the Hebrew word kazah, to have a vision. So as the spark point, as a genesis, as a 0 point, there's a seed vision that is placed within you. And the yod, in its basic understanding, like in paleo, has to do with the work and deed of the hand. Through the constituent letter definition, it means power. Power means in direction, but it's an open hand. So it's power that is being given to give you means and direction as a spark of life, as a seed of life, a vision, and where is it placed?
In the center.
Yeah, with our heart.
Yeah.
So this little tiny yod, the spark that we know that we can connect to source, to Father, to all things, the power that is being given to us is now placed in the center of us being. And this is meant for us to think, suppose, and consider, but it's within our heart, right? Think about, I'm going to connect this to a scripture of where Mary treasured all these things in her heart that the angel said to her. Well, here you go. This little yod, something that was meant to germinate something. So thinking, suppose, and considering, because something is being announced, that this little yod being placed is the activation. Okay, so let's connect it to this. So we have the Vav Tav here producing joy, and then connecting it to endurance. The yod was now placed in the heart, which then puts hope to expect and trust on the inside. So joy is that which came from a seed that was put in us of things that we were thinking, supposing, and considering in our heart as a message that was being preached and declared to us to create the hope and expectation. But it also was going to be through things that we suffered, that we had to bear up and we had to endure.
Wow.
Yeah. But wait, there's more. Samek is a very beautiful letter. And honestly, it's one of my favorites. I mean, technically they're all my favorite, okay, but if I had to put one out there, it would be the Samek. Other than the obvious Aleph, because the Aleph is all encompassing of everything. The Samek means to hedge in, support, prop up. It's a representation in the paleo form as a thorn. So it is connected to, like the sheepfold, where the shepherd would usually surround the sheep with like a hedge of thorn bushes, in order to protect the sheep from predators. So when we think about that being protected, being propped up and shielded, we're being shielded with thorns. This you can connect to the imagery of the crown of thorns that was on Yeshua's head.
Wow.
It also has to do with the wedding ring and a signet ring. So in Hebrew mindset, when they see the Samek, they understand it to be spiritually the wedding ring, as we are unifying and bringing together divine masculine and divine feminine within us. So this crown of thorns was actually, again, a lot of the writings about Yeshua were hundreds of years after he lived, died, and what we know as resurrected, ascended. So when the authors were writing these things to us, there was imagery that they were trying to get across. So the crown of thorns being placed upon Yeshua's head had to do with the fact that he was Christed. He was the Mashiach, because his head, which represents authority, he had authority that came from that which propped him up and supported him. The ring of the wedding, divine feminine and masculine coming together into oneness unity, which then gave him the authority through the signet ring. So speaking to us, so this word connected to pain and suffering and things that we have to endure is connected to the gospel message to produce the hope and expectancy and trust for the process of the suffering that we're going through. Because it's going to produce an outcome of something propping us up, supporting us, giving us that ring and that crown of authority as the signet, right? And so then here's the other. So we actually went ahead. We did the yod already, so we know how much is caught in there. Here's the other part. And again, so what I'm sharing with you is some of these deeper things. The more that you spend time in the language, you're going to be able to see these things. So I'm sharing it from my side. And this word bar is connected to a word that means a son who is an apparent heir to the throne. That's one of the meanings. Another meaning of this is a word that means to be winnowed. Threshing and winnowing, the difference, and the only reason why I know this is because of studying some of the Hebrew culture, because they were very agriculture oriented, and I live in the middle of like wheat country here, so
Yeah.
I'm surrounded with agriculture and cattle and all of that. So threshing has to do with beating the wheat out of the wheat stalk. So it's more of a violent procedure in order to get the fruit out of a wheat stalk. Barley, however, is tossed up in the air of what they call winnowing, where they would take a pitchfork and they would toss the barley up in the air and they would allow the wind to blow the chaff out and only leave the barley. Wind is directly connected to the spirit.
Yes. Wow.
So this word, oh man, I'm feeling this.
Yeah.
Whew. This word is connected to the spirit that winnows us, that produces royalty. Taking away all that is not necessary, but is revealing the fruit. And so now you can see how this word is connected to joy.
Yes.
But yet there's more.
Yeah.
Bar is also a word that means purity and innocence.
Wow.
So when we winnow ourselves, we are removing the chaff, the things that do not matter. And when I take this just to share with you again, I don't want to feel like I'm preaching here, even though that's part of the word of what we were just looking at, or what we're looking at. I'm sharing with you that much of our life, we have our maskings and we have our roles and we have the narratives that we've been playing in this world, but that's not who we are. So what this is telling me, when I'm seeing it reflect back to me, is that the more that I empty myself of all the ego attributes, all the hats that I've chosen to wear, the masks I've chosen to wear, what is being revealed in me through the winnowing process, through spirit, is that which is showing the royalty that's in me. That's producing the wedding ring, the signet ring of authority, where we're then crowned, because one little vision, one little spark was placed on the inside of us to help us through our pain and our suffering so that we could endure. So another way in looking at this, I see through our pain and our suffering, that which is really meant to prop us up, support us, hedge us in as if with thorns, is producing a vision that was granted, like revealing something that was placed in us, the spark of life. Power means in direction by going through the inward man, through the work and deed of what we do, to show us where we're weak and feeble and need to deliver ourselves so that we can be part of the covenant. Moving on, we have the bed. So this is the inside work, to build ourselves through a spiritual path that is going to reveal to us what we need in order to be connected to on the inside and pierced, hence the little dot in the bed. That will raise us up from being poor and destitute to first fruit leaders who have fire upon our heads, which is really, fire upon our heads is a representation of the spirit and authority that comes. And this is through the winnowing process that produces an heir to the throne as those who are pure and innocent through our pain and suffering.
This is so good.
So freaking amazing. Oh my gosh. Ah!